Hi everyone, welcome to this new session of CFA Level 2. Today we'll be covering the next portion of our equity curriculum. So we'll be focusing on the next reading, which is residual income valuation. Now, this particular reading is focusing on one primary aspect, which is residual income. Now, residual income, if you have covered the corporate finance videos before coming to equity, over there in capital budgeting, it was brought up in a very small sense what residual income is. The good thing is that as far as equity goes, there are two parts to the entire content. One is calculation of residual income, and then there is valuation of company using that residual income. Now, it's not exactly the same as it was with free cash flows, where you calculate it and then you do the same process as the dividend based discounting. So, you will have new techniques that you will have to be comfortable with, that you have to understand, which are applicable only for residual income, but it is a fairly small topic. So let's start with the first portion itself, which is introduction. Now, as far as introduction goes, we have to cover two concepts. First concept that we have to cover is called economic value added, and it is calculated as net operating profit after tax minus dollar value of cost of capital. Now, those who have covered corporate finance, you've already done this exact formula, this exact equation. In corporate finance, it was just given the name economic profit. So what you study as economic profit in corporate finance, specifically capital budgeting portion of corporate finance, it's given here as economic value added. And the idea is fairly basic. This is net operating profit after tax. So think of it as EBIT adjusted for tax. And this is dollar value of cost of capital. Dollar value of cost of capital simply means capital multiplied with cost of capital, which means how much dollars or how much currency do I actually need if I actually have to settle all my payments to the providers of capital? How much money do I need to keep them satisfied? So if you look logically, this is how much earnings you have actually had on an after tax basis, operating earnings after tax. This is actual minus what you needed in the very least to keep the providers of capital happy. Capital is provided by equity, by debt. All of their cost combined is weighted average cost of capital. So how much money I needed in the least to keep the providers of capital satisfied, and how much I have actually earned. The difference portion, the extra that you have earned, that is known as economic value added, or in corporate finance, we used to call it economic profit. Now, my suggestion is, if it is possible for you guys, use the term EVA for equity and use the term economic profit for corporate finance, primarily because that is the distinction that your institute is also making. So far as I know, there won't be any difference if you keep calling it economic profit for equity also. But it's just one of those things that if in the question institute mentions EVA directly, then it might confuse you. So just for that reason. Now, just like we had in corporate finance, there was something known as market value added. Market value added is simply market value minus book value. Effectively, when a business starts, it has assets, it has liabilities, and book value sort of represents the starting value of equity, that when the business started, what was the value of equity? And market value is the actual price of equity as per the market forces of demand and supply. So as such, how much the market value has changed in comparison to where the book value started from, how much distance has been covered from the starting point, that is my market value added. And in corporate finance, this was also equal to NPV of economic value added. So effectively, if we have to ever calculate NPV, we use cash flows. But if instead of cash flows, I used EVA and then I calculated NPV, that NPV would come out as market value added. So in a very ideal scenario, if you remember from level 1, if NPV is positive, the amount of positive NPV should directly be reflecting the share price of the company. The company's share price should increase by that much amount in the most ideal scenario. You covered that in some sense at level 1 itself. So if that condition still holds true, Both of these equations are coming up with a very basic logic. Whatever extra you earn, that is going to create additional market value over the time. So that's the preconditions or sort of prerequisites that you need to know, because these concepts are sort of the core concepts from which residual income is derived. So residual income is our focus, but these are sort of the base from where the residual income's idea comes into place. Now that we are through with these, next up we have residual income. Now, residual income is exactly logically same as EVA. The only difference is over here, I took operating profit and I took cost of entire capital. Residual income is going to do the same thing, but only from the perspective of equity. So if I need equity, this operating profit, this would change to net income minus this was capital multiplied with cost of capital, total capital and total cost of capital. Now I need equity and cost of equity. Book value. Effectively, book value represents how much equity is invested. So if we look at this, this would be for time period T. Wherever we have to calculate the residual income for time T, net income would be at time T, book value would be at T minus 1. There is one very simple logic. Think of you putting some amount in savings account. You put 100 rupees in your savings account. At the end of the year, you have 105. The interest is 5%, but that 5% is computed by comparing that 5 with the 100 you invested at the start of the year. So as such, if I need the amount or the dollar value of how much I have to pay the providers of capital, over here I need the dollar value of how much I have to pay to the providers of equity. I need the book value at the start of the year. That's why if I need income for year T, book value is for T minus 1. That's the basic logic. This can also be rewritten in another form, which is return on equity. This is the accounting formula minus cost of equity multiplied with book value T minus 1. Now, this is based on the simple idea that net income can be written as return on equity multiplied with book value. So if you take book value common from both the elements, you will be left with something like this. My suggestion is be comfortable with both the notations. You would get information for any of these possible in your exams. Now, before we move on to an example, I want to have a quick discussion about why exactly do we need residual income? Because so far we've done price multiples, we've done free cash flow valuation, we've done dividend valuation. And all the three alternatives are pretty good in their own right. They have limitations which are covered by other alternatives. The thing about residual income is that it doesn't directly cover any sort of limitation of some other method. Rather, in an ideal circumstance, in an ideal world, the value you get from residual income would be exactly same as the value you get from a Gordon growth model, the dividend-based discounting. The reason why we often prefer this, or in certain circumstances why the financial manager, the financial analyst might prefer this, is because the nature of residual income is very unique. It is talking about how much money I needed to keep the providers of equity satisfied and how much I have actually earned. Effectively, residual income is the extra earnings that I am able to generate over and above what was required at the very least. And sometimes when we are investing in a company, maybe we are trying to take a majority stake, or maybe I am looking at an investment from a 20 years perspective. I want to invest for a very long term. At that point, yes, you can analyze cash flows. Yes, dividend is good. But sometimes I'm more interested in seeing how much additional wealth is the company generating year on year. I want to see residual income for the last 5 years, and I want to see how consistent the company is in generating this additional income over and above what was required. So all of these metrics, they're not going to change the dynamics of valuation. So they are not direct alternatives. But if you do valuation using these, you might get value similar to the dividend based approach, but You'll have to calculate residual income for each year, and that will give you additional information which tells you whether the company has the capability to generate those additional incomes over and above what is required in the very least. So this gives you a lot of insight into the operational aspects of the company. So I hope that clarifies all of these three elements. Now, throughout your entire equity part, the main focus of calculations would just be residual income. So these two parts, EVA, MVA, these are covered just to give you guys an idea as to from where the residual income concept comes into place. Most of the calculations about market value added, economic value added, formula calculations, everything same between equity, corporate finance, and there is higher chance of it being tested in corporate finance. So with all of that out of the way, let's do a comprehensive question. Let's do a slightly detailed question about calculating residual income and then doing valuation of the company using the